everybody, welcome back to Crochet Through Corona and our first crochet along, sometimes called a CAL if you see this written down on crochet groups. And during our CAL we are going to be making this little JellyPal. So I am quite proud of him. He is a handmade to heel design, and yeah, so this is what we're going to be making. As I said before, this is normally made with a lighter weight yarn, so if you've got something heavier, you might find that you have bigger holes in your tension. Not a problem, just don't give it to a baby because the stuffing might come out. Okay, so without further ado, let's get cracking. This is our what we're going to make today, the base disc. So this makes the base under here. And as I said, if you do have hook sizes, hook choices, I would say go for a size down from what your yarn suggests. But as I've suggested this yarn for Crochet Through Corona, I'm going to stick with it so that those who are watching with that can follow along and know what they're trying to achieve. So first of all, take your yarn and we're going to do a magic circle. So the yarn comes over your fingers. I'm not going to go through every little bit really slowly because all the skills are on videos on the Crochet Through Corona website. So if you've forgotten something, not a problem, just pause this video and go and have a look on the website to refresh your memory on how to do each step. So this is the magic ring, magic circle, and we're going to have our yarn coming over the front, pulling back behind, and then crossing over the top of our fingers, and we're going to insert our hook. We'll do that bit a bit slower for you. Insert your hook underneath the first bit, over the second bit, twist and lift up, then yarn over and pull through. And then chain one just to secure that magic ring. And there's your magic ring complete. Then we're going to do 6 single crochets into the centre of the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is where you'll need to put your stitch marker in, because when we work in normal crochet we would slip stitch around to join that round up, but in amigurumi we just carry on round, so you need to know where one row ends, round ends, and one begins. So we've marked that last stitch and we pull it tight, and then we're going to start the next round straight away. So you just need to make sure you're going into your first stitch here now, and if you're not sure which is your chain and which is your first stitch, just count back 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we are going to increase in each stitch round. So that's 2 single crochets in each stitch round. So we had 6 currently, and we'll have 12 at the end of this round. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I am using quite a tight tension because I don't want those big gaps in amigurumi, so if you can, pull it quite tight while you're going. If you've got a smaller hook than you should be using, that will make it a bit easier just to have that tighter tension. Oh dear, one of the children are awake from their nap, so that could spell the end of this video very quickly. Hopefully not. And then last stitch. So when you come to the last stitch, you just undo your stitch marker, do your 2 stitches into it, and then pop it back in. So then I would just pop my stitch marker back in to that last stitch there. And I'll just double check that I've got 12 stitches here. So there's 1 in the stitch marker, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ideal. Now we're going to increase in the first stitch, so that's 2 single crochets into the first stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the second stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into the next one, and follow that pattern round. So it's 2, then 1, And at the end of this round you should have 18, so add in 6 each time. And you can visually see, if you lose track, where you've had 2, that's 2, 1, so that should be doing 2 in this one. And then my last repeat, so I've got 2 here and then 1 in the last one. Your last stitch should have 1 single crochet into it. Oops, nearly lost my water there, just loosen off some yarn. So I'm just dropping the stitch marker out while I do 1 single crochet into there, and then pop my stitch marker back in. And then again, you can just check that you've got 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. This time we're going to do an increase in the first stitch, so 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, so 1 and then 1. And then an increase in the next stitch, so 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and we just repeat that all the way around. So 2 single crochets into 1 stitch, and then 2 stitches where you just do 1 single crochet into each stitch. And I've messed that up a bit there, so just keep an eye on where you're up to. I've missed my increase just here. Increase, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2. This one should have been an increase. 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1. Actually got my yarn a bit stuck underneath the table here. 2, increase, and then you should have 2 left before the end of the row. 1. I didn't do my increase there, I just said increase. It does take a little bit of concentration, keeping all this numbers counting as you go. So it's a bit different to just doing crocheting in rows where you can just keep going. Okay, that's the end of round 1, 2, 3. This time we're going to increase and then single crochet in the next 3. So you're getting the pattern here. So 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then the following 3 stitches we just do 1 single crochet into, and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and then just 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches all the way around. And you'll probably come up with your own way of remembering to put your increases in the right place. I can tell that I've not done mine quite right here, so I'm just going to go back and check. 1, 2, 3, that's how my increase was in the wrong place just there. So you'll start to notice that your increase is actually always on the first stitch of the increase on the previous row, and that's how you can keep track of whether you are at the right point. I'll show you on this next increase here. So if you can see, this is my increase, that bit there, and so this is the first stitch of that increase there, and that's where I should be increasing for this row. And then the last one to do here, and I know I'm in the right place because I'm increasing in the right point from the row below, so that is always a really helpful guide. And you should have just a single crochet to finish on here, your third single crochet. Drop the stitch marker out, add your single crochet in and pop it back. And then we are on our final round of this base piece, and you've guessed it, it's increase and then 4 single crochets. So it's 1, 2 into the same stitch, and then 4 single crochets, and then increase again. And if you can master the knack of looking at the row below and where you should be increasing, it allows you to kind of lapse your concentration a little bit more when you're going. So you can go back and count, check you're doing it right. There's my increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'm on an increase. And at the end of each round you should be checking, so the previous round should have had 30, it's just add 6 each time. And this round will be 36 at the end. A little bit of lockdown maths for you there. Home straight. Last 2 repeats. Oops. I'm half distracted by everything else that's going on in the house, so so that's not ideal. But here's my last increase. And then 1, 2, 3, and then that's my last stitch just there, 4. And then I just fasten off. So I'm going to cut my yarn behind here, leaving enough to fasten off. I'm going to pull it through, take my darning needle and do an invisible stitch into the next stitch. I'm actually going to do an invisible stitch into the one after because it makes it look a little bit neater. So not the very next stitch, the one after. So then you've just kind of replaced that previous stitch. And then I'm just sewing it back into itself through that gap there, through the previous stitch, making that V shape. There we go. And you've got quite a nice neat finish there, and then we just fasten off by going back into again like we have done a number of other times, just catching different threads. 3 repeats back into just to make sure it's secure. And it's really important if you are making baby toys that you do get everything really secure. And now we can snip that last extra bit off. And that is my first round complete. Make sure your middle is pulled nice and tight. I said that actually, you don't want it too tight because you do need to be able to thread through it in a bit. So I've now probably pulled it too tight. I'm going to regret that. There we go. Loosened it off a bit there. Because so you will need to pop some little tentacles through that hole in a bit, so you want to keep a bit of a hole in the centre. And that is the end of our first day of our crochet along. So hopefully you'll have a nice disc like this ready for the next part tomorrow. Happy hooking!